Welcome to the Fascinating Show. Today we are going to discuss the top 10 movies on Netflix of 2020.
The Half of It. The Half of It has earned comparisons to Netflix's breakout hit To All the Boys I've Loved Before for a few reasons. They both spotlight Asian American leading ladies, both of which are living with their cool dad after the death of their mothers, and there's even a shared seduction by Yakult moment. But The Half of It is a much more pensive, lyrical, and heartbreaking movie beneath this swooning love story. Written and directed by Alice Wu, the film offers an update on the classic Cyrano de Bergerac, and not in the deeply unsettling catfishing way Sierra Burgess's A Loser did. Wu's touching, gorgeously shot tale finds three teenagers searching for their identity and hungry for their first love, all wrapped up in a messy, hungry love triangle that never feels cheap or exploitative. It's been a long wait for Wu's next feature after her 2004 debut Saving Face, but it was worth it. Gorgeously shot, expertly paced, and filled with characters you can't help but learn to love, The Half of It is a knockout self-aware teen romance that's as bittersweet as the real thing. His house. If you're feeling a bit tired of all the tropes that come along with traditional British haunted house movies, His House is a striking breath of fresh air. But, spooky air. You won't find any Victorian mansions or pallid apparitions in billowing nightgowns. Instead, Remy Week's feature debut delivers a present-day update on the haunted house yarn, rooted in rich character arcs, devastating emotional revelations, and a tremendously empathetic on the horrors and hope of the immigrant experience. Wunmi Mosaku and Soap Terasu stars a refugee couple determined to forge a new life in England after making a traumatic escape from Sudan, but it's not long until they discover trauma has a way of sticking around, sometimes in downright terrifying ways. Weeks crafts an evocative, visually stirring film about coming to terms with that trauma, translating it all through the familiar thrills of a ghost story, while reinventing the format with unique mythology and timely themes. It's a beautiful, chilling film, easily one of the best horror movies of the year, and one of Netflix's best too. I'm thinking of ending things. As is often the case with a Charlie Kaufman production, things are not what they seem in the writer-slash-director's 2020 Netflix movie I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Kaufman adapts Ian Reid's novel of the same name, which, generally speaking, follows a young couple, Jake Jesse Plemons and a nameless young woman Jessie Buckley, who are going to visit Jake's parents. One of the biggest concerns about the trip is that the young woman has doubts about the longevity of her relationship with Jake and tries to decide if she should break up with him as the movie goes on. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is a cerebral movie. Hello, it is Kaufman, after all, that touches on a variety of broad themes: depression, relationship power dynamics, the extremely male concept of greatness, the nature of reality, the meaning of existence, and even death. As the young woman tries to assert herself and establish autonomy, she is confronted by all of these issues as Jake's nice guy facade begins to crack and the dark interiors of his mind begin to seep through the cracks. I'm Thinking of Ending Things not only boasts a meaty story you'll want to revisit, but it also features two incredible performances from Plemons and Buckley, with the latter damn near running away with the movie during an extended sequence which sees her firing off a Pauline Kael movie review in a masterclass moment. Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey. I'm calling it, Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey is officially a Christmas classic, the first time I think I've seen one in the wild since Elf. It's a family-friendly musical adventure comedy with an adept cast singing and dancing their way through all kinds of pop-rock mount tunes and inhabiting some delicious, steampunk-inspired production design courtesy of Gavin Bacquet. But don't let the candy cane exterior fool you. Jingle Jangle, like many Christmas classics before it, is undeniably melancholy, so willing to plumb the depths of Forrest Whitaker's darkness before allowing him any kind of catharsis. I will be thinking about Whitaker's eccentric, heart-shattering, wild performance for some time to come. But as this catharsis yields its head, courtesy of an incredible performance from the young Madeline Mills, it tastes so sweet. Hug your loved ones close. The Lovebirds. The last time Michael Showalter and Kumail Nanjiani worked together, The result was one of 2017's biggest indie successes and an Oscar nomination for Nanjiani and co-writer Emily V. Gordon. The Lovebirds is a very different beast from The Big Sick, though, as the film one of several films picked up for streaming distribution after COVID-19 shut down movie theaters this spring is more of an homage to darker comedies from the 1980s like Martin Scorsese's After Hours and John Landis's Into the Night. Nanjiani and the luminous Issa Rae stars a long-term ordinary couple whose relationship has frayed to the breaking point. The timing couldn't be worse, though, as a violent incident leaves them terrified to go to the cops, and completely out of their depth when it comes to the criminal underworld upon which they've stumbled. It's a zippy romp that makes incredible use of Rae and Nanjiani's chemistry. As writer Alana Bennett once said, a great rom-com lead is often defined by his or her ability to gaze properly at their love interest. The Lovebirds is a textbook example of that. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Another electric play adaptation from Netflix this 2020, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is a thrilling, vital, alive piece of cinema. Director George C. Wolfe makes sure August Wilson's original text does not die on the vine, lensing and constructing sequences that earnestly shocked me with their kineticism, even in the film's eventual people talking in a room construction. Wolfe renders everything with a Chicago-esque sense of movement, of appropriately jazz-like spontaneity. The performances in this film are just the best you'll see all year. In the title role, Viola Davis has disappeared. You'll only see Ma Rainey on the screen, a volcanic, barely controlled, barely lucid yet wholly controlling figure that dominates and endears in equal measure. And Chadwick Boseman, in his final film performance, is astonishing. He's pleading, bitter, disruptive, charismatic, easy to love and hate in equal measure. They just don't make him much better than Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Mank. David Fincher, who has made 2 series for Netflix since 2013, took his blank check and made a true passion project, Mank, a pseudo-biographical portrait of Herman J. Mankiewicz played by a prosthetics-free Gary Oldman, the embattled screenwriter of Citizen Kane, from a script written by Fincher's late father Jack. He had been working on it from the 1990s to the time of his death in 2003. Fincher goes all out in a typically Fincherian way trying to recreate the production methods and overall look of a movie from the 1940s. The skies are static matte paintings, he digitally degrades the film, adding scratches and cigarette burns, the sound rendered in a muffled mono, and he even coaxes a big, brassy score out of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, members of aggressively glitchy electronic rock band 9 Inch Nails. But dwelling on the myriad technical accomplishments is only part of what makes Mank so special. It's also a delicious satire of the Hollywood machine, of the way that it uses creative people and discards them just as quickly, and has thread of a Chinatown-esque conspiracy plot as the big studios utilize dirty tactics and the foundations of fake news to swing an election in favor of a Republican candidate. In this way Mank's poisonous core separates itself from many of the other movies about movies that the industry frequently trips over itself to applaud. Miss Americana. Few expected the Taylor Swift documentary Miss Americana to be a warts-and-all portrayal of the insanely famous musician and songwriter, but the film is far deeper than it needed to be. Indeed, the first half of the film does a nice enough job chronicling Swift's career thus far, but it reaches new heights in its second half as Swift decides to take a public political stance for the first time and struggles to reconcile knowing what's right with doing what's right, especially for someone as famous as she. This documentary is basically the origin story of a feminist, and in that way, it's a warts-and-all portrayal of the struggles young women face in deciding to stand up and use their voice in a world in which so many simply want them to smile and stay quiet. The intimate look inside Swift's writing process is a bonus. The Old Guard. Leave it to Gina Prince Bythewood to bring a deep heart and humanity to an action movie about immortal warriors. Charlize Theron continues to kick all kinds of ass in The Old Guard, and the action scenes are terrific, but what sets this film apart is how Prince Bythewood takes the time to get to know who these characters are, what makes them tick, and most importantly what they care about. The film also takes a unique approach to violence, as Kiki Lane's freshly immortal warrior witnesses the various killings that take place. Each taking of a human life leaves an impact on her. An action movie with a heart and a brain? Inconceivable. Over the Moon. At one point master Disney animator Glenn Keane, the man who created Ariel and the Beast amongst many, many others, was set to helm Tangled. Story problems and health issues eventually forced him off of the project, although many of his designs still remain. And it only took another 10 years and winning an Oscar for his Kobe Bryant animated short Dear Basketball for him to finally direct his very first feature. Over the Moon is a modern fable about a young girl named Kathy Ang who longs to bring proof of the goddess Philippa Sue living on the far side of the moon, so she builds herself a rocket to get there. While there might be some of the trappings of Keane's previous work, an aspirational girl longs for adventure, Broadway-style musical numbers, cute animal sidekicks. He clearly wanted to break free of those same trappings and offer up something wholly unique. The fact that F is greeted on the moon not by some regal, European-inspired castle but a glow-in-the-dark rave, and that the goddess wouldn't be singing some traditional song but a K-pop style bop is proof alone that Keane was going for something different. With beautiful character designs, many of them by Keane, lavish animation by Sony and Pearl Studios formerly DreamWorks Oriental, and a wonderful score by Stephen Price, Over the Moon was a welcome relief from 2020. Honestly, we could have all used an intergalactic voyage after being trapped inside all year.